No, I want to begin this meeting. Welcome to tonight's board meeting, Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. Members present, we have 4 members present, only Dr. Hoffman is absent. Let's stand for the pledge. Attention, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B, public to be heard. And I must read this first. Members of the public shall be allowed to attend all meetings of the Board of Education. In addition, the Board of Education will have an item on regular meeting agendas that affords citizens the right to address the Board of Education on items pertaining to education and/or the operation of the school district. The item will appear prior to any business being conducted by the Board of Education. A resident wishing to address the Board of Education must fill out a form before the meeting and submit it to the board clerk. Done. The speaker is to move to the lectern on being recognized by the board president and give his full or her full name. The speaker will be allowed 4 minutes to address the board. Public comment will be limited to the first 5 individuals who sign up to speak and will not exceed 20 minutes total. The board and administrative staff will not respond to questions or comments at the meeting. The resident may receive a written response as soon as possible. Questions and complaints relating to employees of the district will not be permitted at this time. Such questions are to be referred to the superintendent at another time. Presentation or discussion of matters which are currently under legal review will not be permitted. This is TPS Board Policy 2217. So, Mr. Reed, I just think of Nathan only. Mr. Nathan.
This is a small group. This is an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm used to bigger groups. So, well, I am Nathan Reed. I live at 606 West Downey, child in Sequoia Pre-K and Cherokee Elementary. So it is exciting for me to be here. It's also exciting to be representing the chamber today. So I'm the president CEO down at the Chamber of Commerce. And a couple of months ago, we were able to hear from staff of the school district and hear some of the exciting things that you guys have planned for the upcoming bond issue. And we had some good conversation with Tanya and her staff, and the board decided unanimously to support this bond issue. And so we are excited to be the voice in the community to push this along, to kind of help make sure. I know that you guys have some restrictions that you can't say vote yes. You can ask people to go vote, help them get registered to vote and be ready to vote, but you can't ask them, tell them which way to vote. Thankfully, I can, and I am happy to be able to go out in the community with the full support of my board, which represents over 380 businesses in this community, to say vote yes for this school board, for this bond package, and to get that passed. So I hope we sent in a press release to the Tahlequah Daily Press. They were able to run that and help us start spreading the word that the Tahlequah Area Chamber of Commerce supports you guys, supports education in this community, and so it is an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. We're working with Tanya on potential opportunities to get the word out there. I know that we're got some opportunities for social media. We just signed a partnership on a billboard, so we're going to be putting that up on the billboard by Walmart to vote yes, and all of our things will say vote yes. And that is something that I hope that the community hears and we can help drive that support home. While I have you guys for just a second, I also wanted to bring up a couple of things that the Chamber's doing, just because it's exciting. So this is we usually do the Tahlequah Public Schools Back to School Breakfast. This will be the fourth time I believe that we've done this one. We're still going to do that as normal. We are going to have vendors set up. They're going to be giving away some free stuff that morning. We're going to have some breakfast. We're going to have some coffee. We're going to do, with this year, we're going to do Minute to Win It. That was a hit 2 or 3 years ago when we got to do that. And so we're going to do some more games. This year, we're going to be doing a lot of door prizes like normal, but I was just talking to Deanne. She serves on our education committee.
She's gonna
And
dance again.
that's right, because she was in Minute to Win It, and we told her that she needs to come back. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a preview. We are going to be giving away, I would say, over $5,000 in door prizes this year. We have had multiple businesses step up and want to donate $500 gift cards for us to give away this month.
Wow.
And so if your teachers aren't there, you must be present to win at the back to school breakfast. If they're not there, they're going to be missing out on a lot of opportunities. So make sure that they're there. And I say teachers, it's for the whole staff. We want to support and show the full education staff support. I know I usually get up and speak at this event and have some opportunities to talk about the cafeteria workers that were an impact on me, the bus driver, the ag teacher. They all played a role, and a lot of times they feel like maybe they're forgotten from the community standpoint, but they're not. And we want them to feel that love and support. This year, first time ever, we're doing our Education Expo. We are the Tahlequah Area Chamber of Commerce, and we wanted to show that to area schools as well. And so we are doing a Cherokee County Education Expo. So every education institution in the county gets to come to this event. I will say those people that donated $500 to go to the back to school breakfast, those same people have also donated $500 gift cards to go to the Education Expo. So we will be giving away almost as much to education staff at the Education Expo. We are so excited about this. We've been asking and the community has supported. So I'll end it there. July 26th, stop the bus. Come and get teacher supplies at Walmart.
No, we're just in it.
I tried to talk fast.
What was your last statement? What did you say? about
July
the stuff?
26th, we're doing Stuff the Bus with teacher supplies at Walmart. So help us spread the word this Saturday. Collecting supplies, we're going to be giving those away at the Education Expo to the staff that comes.
And where is the Education Expo?
It's at the Chota Center. Yes. We've got a lot of vendors, a lot of booths that will be set up, giving away free stuff, and so we had to get a big venue.
Does it begin at 4 a.m.?
4 to 6 p.m. And it's come and go. You don't have to be present to win the door prizes. Just put your name in the hat and you can win a door prize. Which includes $500. Who?
NSU, did
They're a
they?
sponsor.
Okay.
And we're also inviting them to come too, to the Education Expo, because they're doing education as well, and we wanted to show them support too.
Okay.
That's great, and thank you for the support you're giving TPS.
I started with my girls being there because it means a lot to me.
Thank you, appreciate it. May I wear a necklace that says yes?
May I just-
Yes.
Be careful.
Thank you very much. Item C, discussion and vote to approve the minutes from previous meetings. One is the June 24th regular meeting, the other the July 25th special meeting. Do I have a motion? I'll make that. Second, any discussion? Ms. Neiman. Aye. Dr. Emerson.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford, and I. Item D, Deputy Treasurer to report, and discussion and vote to approve the monthly financial reports, which I'm kind of excited about. Me too.
So we ended, June 30, our bank balance was $20,738,339.89. Receipts that came into general fund in the month of June were $3,640,350.50. Building fund was $558,898.43. Sinking fund was $40,127.04. That left our general fund balance at $8,301,642.98. Building fund, $7,280,504.52. Bond fund, $762,578. Sinking fund, $632,570.57. Activity funds at the end of June were $1,065,652.19. Our electric last June to this June was $3,411 less, which is good.
Wow, that's just amazing.
Our water though was $4,387,000 more. Brad is supposed to be checking on,
I think we have a link between transportation and the ball fields. We don't know where, it's not something that's coming up, so we're going to have to employ someone to help us do leak detection without digging up an entire field worth of pipe, to figure out where the leak is.
and then gas was $426 more also. Do you have any questions?
As you all noticed, our balances were significantly higher than they were last year, and that was purposeful for a lot, and then some of it was just a blessing because revenues over collected. So when we put a budget in at the beginning of the year, you put in what you think, what the treasurer thinks they will collect, motor vehicle tax will collect, what local county bill, 4 mil would collect, and so on. But sometimes they overcollect, sometimes they undercollect, but we had quite a few this year that overcollected enough that it put us up higher than we anticipated at the end, which is a true blessing in disguise, or I'll just say, I'm okay to say divine intervention, because at the exact same time that type of funding comes in, we have had a lack of funding that is very possible for many programs for the next year. We have been told to plan without many allocations, specifically Title II, which is instructional support, Title III, which is EL support, Title IV, which is student support, Title V, which is REALIS, which is rural income. Then first, 21st Century Grant was on the table, and ABE, which is our adult education and financial family literacy program. Those are all programs that the money has been withheld so far. We did find out in the last few days that the 21st Century money for after-school program that we had already that the grant we already had has been released. So we will get that money for our year 4 of the 5-year grant. What we don't know still is that the application we have sitting there trying to get another grant for Greenwood and Heritage again, which is very needed. We found out today they have not even been read yet, and normally they are allocated, the grants are given the last week of July. So they are unsure whether or not that money will be there. All of the money that I just mentioned, it was very close to $900,000. Obviously, getting the 21st Century money back in the till helps a lot, but we are over what we anticipated or even planned for, and we ended up having $500,000 right now being withheld. And the fact that Lacey had a conversation with someone in our federal grants today, and they will not go on record as to whether or not we will get our allocations in October 1 for those grants. So grants that we already have funded, like Innovative Literacy Grant through the U.S. Department of Education. We have Department of Justice grants, we have Department of Ed grants, we have SAMHSA mental health grants. Those are all federally funded grants. And they are very unsure right now whether or not they're gonna get that next year allocation. So there could not have been a better time for us to have a large carryover, because we are very uncertain as to whether those millions of dollars will come in. And, even if the money does come in, I think some of it will come in very late, which means we have to pay all those people up front and then hopefully eventually be able to go back and claim the money and get reimbursed. But to be able to do that, you have to have the money in the bank to make payroll. And we're very happy to say that we will not have a problem with that this year. We've also heard things about child nutrition and lunches being funded by districts. Fortunately for us in our district, we are CEP, which it's kids eat free. Again, not free to the district, but kids do eat free. But I had mentioned to a couple of you that I did get an email for the first time this summer when we had put a claim in for the child nutrition reimbursement that said, we didn't get our money, so you don't get your money this week. That we eventually got it, but that's the first time we've ever received an email like that. So even though we have that federal program, I worry that that money could be held at any time as well. So we will, even in the absence of that federal funding, we would make it. We would have to make significant changes the next year if they truly withhold all this money and don't put it back into public education and kids. But we are in a very comfortable place to ride out this weirdness that is going on right now with public education and funding. So thank you, Sabrina, for doing such a wonderful job of tracking that and keeping up with that. And we did learn that, and she already tracked the revenue sources, we tracked the budget. We didn't necessarily marry the two on a normal basis. We'll do that a little bit more frequently next year. That way we have a better idea, but blessing in disguise, we'll take it.
Well, and overall, I have to thank the entire administrative staff and the board of all of you for the last few years. You have been looking so closely at the budget and saving where we could, if it was $150 somewhere that could be shaved off and brought in. And we've been working, or you all have been working on building this carryover fund to get it in a secure position. And I really appreciate it. It didn't just happen. And I guess what I want to say to the public at large, this has involved a tremendous amount of very careful monitoring and working with our budget with this group. And I really appreciate it.
I have a quick question on the surplus that we collected from state taxes and those types of things, and that's all general fund, and that can be used for anything.
Instructional.
Okay.
Anything as long as it's considered
Are
instructional.
there any of these grants that we are not sure of yet that are not instructional?
I would think all of it would be considered instructional.
Yes, every one that we do has an instructional component of it. We tend to write grants for staff, for services for kids, and not stuff. And so most of it is tied up in salary.
Nothing else from
Anyone else? Any comments? Ms. Nemo? Oh,
I don't think I moved to approve.
I'll
did
second.
anyone make a motion?
No,
I
she
moved.
just did,
Okay,
I'll
moved
second.
and a second, all right, sorry about that. I guess now we can do the discussion. Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford? And aye. IP Principal Director Report, Child Nutrition, and we have Lacey Wilson. Is Heidi here?
She is not here, she is going with her husband to see some sick family, so they are on their way there. And I'm glad Robert has been going, he had me panicked for this month because I didn't confirm with him that. Okay. I know we just talked about child nutrition just two months ago, so I don't want to bore you with the same information, but I wanna quickly go through to remind you that we are a CEP school. That means our kids get to eat for free, doesn't mean that it is free to us, and we'll go through that again in just a moment. Go ahead, Robert. What counts as a what I wanted to remind the public is that a kiddo cannot just come here and grab a milk for free, they have to get the whole meal. So just remind students and families that they do have to get the whole meal. It has to be a reimbursable meal in order for it to count. They can definitely pay for a milk or pay for anything extra, but it just wouldn't be that free component. Okay, one more. We went over these numbers last month, but I wanted to just go back over them just very briefly, that most schools did bump up about 10% for breakfast. Middle school and high school, not so much, but we definitely know that's where our work is cut out for us. And that's where we're gonna focus our energy again this next year. Okay, this is the slide that, remember I had just kind of told you about briefly last month, and I thought, I'm gonna go ahead and put that on paper with you so that you can see it a little bit better. And let me just talk for just a minute. So there is some talk about CEP going to where you have to be 60% direct certified in order to be a CEP school. We land right now at 53.98. So if Trump goes that route where you have to be 60%, we would not qualify at the moment. What we could do is work with families and make sure everyone in our community that qualifies for SNAP benefits has applied and is part of that, but I can't make any promises that we would make it to that 60%. So right now, you only have to be 25%. It was 40, and then when it went to 25%, we jumped on it. We were like, okay, because we kept being on that line where we would maybe qualify, maybe not. So anyway, I just want to tell you that if it does go to the 60%, we would not be able to continue it. We would definitely, well, I would hope we would have a little bit of notice where we would be able to tell our families, you know. So we are 53.98 right now. That just means that's how many families are direct certified. You get their information, they don't have to fill out a form, anything like that, and then you multiply it by 1.6. Why 1.6? I have no idea. It's just the formula. And that's where we get our 86.38% is what we get reimbursed from the federal government as free. But then that 13.62 is what we get reimbursed as a paid. So that's why it's not completely paid for. And you can see the numbers there. So forever, and I just broke it down in 100 just because it's easier to talk about. We can use any number you guys would want to use, but for every 86 kids that come through the line, we get $2.84 for them. But the other 14, we only get 39 cents. So that's how, and that's why I push breakfast so much, because, and once again, we're not gonna make a profit, and you'll see when we get to the last slide what I mean by that. So save your tomatoes for me, because you're gonna wanna throw them at me at the end. But that's why I really am talking you through this, so you know, and for every 100 meals at lunch, our profit is $9.86. Supper meal, and the reason supper is so high is because we're an at-risk school. We're an at-risk school, so we actually get all 100 students fully reimbursed. Well, you can't push the summer program with the supper program with everyone because they have to be enrolled in Boys and Girls Club. So that's why I definitely want to push it for the kids that are there, but you can't just go give supper to every kid. I wish we could. Every kid going on the bus, believe me, I thought about it, and Mama told me no.
And they have to be at school.
They have to be at school, because remember, I was trying to send it with them for all of my sports, my athletics, and Mona, which was wonderful. She was here for 3 weeks. I got to know her very well. She said, I love the way you're thinking, but they have to be on property. And I said, but the bus is our property. She said, Lacey, you're pushing it. I said, all right. So she did understand what we were trying to do though, but.
On the buses that are not, we own and not just the municipal.
I know. Maybe I
Part of
consider
it
your
now,
way,
too.
Lori, I mean, I'm willing for someone else to ask, to talk to her, but, I think that is why I push breakfast so much. I certainly want every kid to eat lunch. Don't misunderstand when I'm talking numbers and stuff, but, just want you to understand that that's where maybe we would get reimbursed a little more. Okay, so let's flip on through. Chartwell's, we just hired a new chef. I say we. I feel like I work with Chartwell's too, as much as they are a different company. I've grown to really love them and just bring them into my little child nutrition family, I guess. So our new chef is named Chef Mark. I personally haven't met him yet, except for on Zoom when I helped interview him. And so I'm hoping that he brings something to the table. They have some different ideas. I'm excited to hear about their sports nutrition program because we know that kiddos in sports sometimes need to eat a little differently, game days and that type of thing. So I'm not exactly sure what all of this is. I just got it from Chef Jean, which is now the director. And so she has lots of ideas. Okay, next slide. So these are our June numbers. And we are serving in July this year, not summer school, but our non-congregate meals, which are Garden Walk and Fox. We served a lot of meals at Garden, and it has been quite a effort. I cannot take any credit for this. It has been a true team. We've had 4 vans every Wednesday meet at 10:30. The maintenance department has had some guys help. The Mormon church has sent some workers because Jean, it's her church, and so she sent some of her people that go to her church. And they have loaded all of these meals, and it's car help. It's a lot.
Oh, I never worked so hard in all my life.
It sounds so easy, like, yeah, we're delivering meals to Fox and Garden Walk. Well, it's hard work, and we have like 6 people at Fox, and we have about 4 at Garden Walk, and they carry their wagons, and they help the because sometimes families will send their kids to go pick it up. Well, it's 5 breakfasts and 5 lunch per kid. And so the little kids are carrying it. Sabrina, the last time she went, she's like, I'm taking my sports wagon. So she took her sports wagon and helped the kids get back to the house. And so it's quite a lot of our social workers have been helping with that. Just a lot of our staff members, people in this office, and very appreciative of that. So couldn't do it alone. There's no way.
Is that still happening, Lacey?
It is so tomorrow and then one more Wednesday. So I'm excited that we're able to do it all summer
I
long.
bet the
Yes.
chamber could call for volunteers.
I know, we may do that next year because,
I think there's lots of
Yeah.
organizations in town, if they, on one day at
I
this
bet
time,
you're
if
right.
they knew ahead of time and you
Mhm.
say, can you get us 10 people here,
Yeah.
how many, that we can get volunteers to.
and they probably would really enjoy it, yeah, because it really is really neat, that families can just drive through and they're able to take that for their families, so.
Kids who need service points in high school, and that sort of, that honor
Yeah.
society, I was, that.
I
that
can
would be
definitely
the
share my
kids.
Google Sheet next year
I
because,
think
You did.
I mean, and that would be a wonderful
would.
experience
for all of the
for
above.
them, for everything, but.
Yeah.
for-
I know that.
Cause you
child
feel
nutrition.
good when you do it.
You do feel good when you do it, and there's no way we could do it alone. There's just truly no way we could, and so it's kind of win-win. I like that idea. I'll do that. Okay, this is where things get, you know,
You can do it, Lace.
I know. I told you I was gonna do my very best at the beginning of the year, and that's all I can do. And I feel like true transparency is where it's at. And so, our revenue, 2,665,000, expenditures were more than that. I do want you to remember we fed every kid breakfast and lunch. I know, I keep coming back to that. I told Tammy that the other day, because she said, wait, you didn't break even? And I said, no, but I fed every kid breakfast and lunch. That's a lot of money, you guys, and, I do know that we are down. Now, here's the good news. We had carryover. So in the child nutrition world, we had carryover. And that can only be used for child nutrition things. It's kind of lumped into the general fund, but this pot is only for child nutrition. So now my carryover fund is only $707,000. So I did have to dip into there a little bit. But if you'll go to the next slide, I really wanna break it down for you. And I don't know if you guys can see this or not. But the biggest piece of, I just want you to know that we pay utilities, we pay pest control, we pay repairs. I think I have parts and supplies on there. We have a little insurance. The conference and training, Victoria and Heidi went to Stillwater to a conference over there for a few days. The equipment, well, this is something I wanna talk to you about right here. The equipment there is really not that high this year. Thank you. It's only $23,640.42, and I think we got a pizza oven, we got some new plates, but I do have a freezer, it's kinda glitching, and a freezer is about $55,000. So if my equipment is higher next year, just know why. But that commodity buyback and that processing, that was when Sodexo left, so they own the food, and when they left, we bought it back from them, and then we traded it out with Chartwell, so that's what that big amount is.
So is that a one-time, we wouldn't anticipate that
I don't think
expense
we would
this year?
anticipate that this year. So, I say all of that to say, there's a lot of other things in there besides just paying for meals. Our revenue, once again, $2,665,000. Our Chartwell's invoice was $2,159,645.85. So if you say, did you make enough to pay for the food for the kids? We did. But I'm counting in all of the salaries, so we have 6 Tahlequah Public Schools employees. And it's not my salary, I know I'm over child nutrition, but I'm paid from a million different grants, and this is not one of them. But this is the six people that are Tahlequah Public Schools employees, and then Chartwell's pays for their own. But I wanted to be really, really transparent with you all. So the part that I don't know yet, when we signed up with Chartwell's, it was a $50,000 guarantee. So now we're in the process of figuring out, so in the RFP, it said like Tahlequah's paying for grease traps. I can't remember if that really was one of ours or not. I think that was theirs. I think Chartwell's pays for grease traps. We pay for repairs, Chartwell's, so in the RFP, that's how it played out. But the State Department, we just emailed them, we said, we need help figuring out how do you determine if we are good with 50,000? Because in my mind, if you look at all of the expenditures and all of the revenue, we're not. We're 83,000 below. But does that mean that Chartwell's owes us 83,000 and then another 50,000? Or do you take out those pockets of money for like equipment and repairs and those type of things? So I don't have a beautiful answer for you tonight. We are going back and forth with the state and with Chartwell's, and hopefully very soon.
Now, they were supposed to give us 50,000 if, what?
They just guaranteed that we would not lose money, we would be ahead 50,000.
They guaranteed it.
They did.
I kind of remember
They did.
that.
So, and when
we're
I'm
just not
telling you,
sure, is it just
Just
their
food,
service or all
is
those other services as well?
Yes.
And we're
So
getting
if
two different answers.
You looked at it before when we were paying for it, when the kids were paying. Were we making money then? Or were we about the same because we were still paying for all of those expenses above and beyond
Correct.
salaries and so.
That is
have
correct.
done that.
I have not done that. I would imagine we would be a little bit better, but I can certainly do that and break that down and look at that.
We were not upside down the other way.
We were, no, we've never been upside down,
That's why we had such a large carryover.
yes. I just can't give you an exact amount, I guess, is what I'm saying on that.
So I have a question about these, so like utilities, pest control, is that just for the child nutrition side, or is that some portion at each of the school sites as well?
Some portion at, like the cafeteria at each site, it's by square footage.
Right, the utilities are by square footage, the pest control is literally, the pest guy goes into each and it's just a dollar amount per each. The utilities is by square footage.
It's very particular what you can, I don't say like write off, but code to that child nutrition fund. And so we do code everything possible to that child nutrition code. But it is the most rule-oriented
It's
program
very.
probably of any school program. So you are
Yes.
held to a very strict code.
And I'll tell you the reason I asked that, because we were, so, you know, carryover aside, we spent $83,000 more than we were reimbursed for girls. And, you know, I just did quick math, that's $23 per kid in our district to feed all kids for free to the family. And assuming that this program continues and we, you know, we can still do it, they don't bump up to 60. I understand that we have a tight budget with things going forward, but I'm not upset about that. The fact that we didn't have to young families and young kids, and that every kid that was hungry got to eat, and I mean, we've talked about this a lot over the years, and I kind of by default, I think the seat that I took, like child nutrition has been, but it's been important for me too, and you know, is that doable in the long run? Well, with a $700,000 carryover, even if we are spending a little more money than we make, that gives us 3, 4, 5, 6 years to continue to work on these things and figure them out. And I don't think that we're ready to say, because we didn't break even, we're not doing this anymore. I mean, there are things that are really important, and feeding kids is really important, and we do have a little bit of wiggle room. And I know that you guys have worked hard. The food is better, we have more kids eating, and I'm not upset by these numbers. I think you guys have done a great job, and
Do we still have the fund where people can put money?
That's what I want to know, Jim Wilson.
We do, we have not used it for anything child nutrition related necessarily, because we really just.
We didn't have those kids paying
Yes,
had bills
yes.
for it. I think we would have to change descriptions if we were going to do that, but it's not something that could be off the table. And we also have people that add money to the Go for Public Schools that are specific, that type of thing. If we find that it is something that we run a little bit over like this, we could edit those descriptions as well, where people could help to pay the difference, so to help with that.
I wanna make a point also, and this was when, 8 or 9 years ago, when my first term, I was on the board with Jim Wilson. And at that time, and we were pretty adamant about, we didn't want kids to just get a paper bag with the sandwich in it, the cheese sandwich in it, because it was so obvious that they were being sectioned off and separated from the group. And we all know how hard that is, first of all, for anyone, but for children to be put in that position. But then we had also something like $60,000 in meals that people had just charged and not paid for. So 9 or 10, and most of the board, we were okay with that. Let's just pay it and let those kids eat and send them through, and it wasn't just this, but that was 9 or 10 years, almost 10 years ago. And there was that sort of expense at the end of the year dealing with our nutrition program. So this is not considering that we have more students, considering that we're allowing everyone to eat and all of those pluses. I don't see this as such a negative.
Well, good. I
mean, if we had no money,
right.
And we might have
we may be there
have
at
this
some point, yeah.
conversation 4 years down the road
Right.
when the program goes down and everything else is being cut, but we're in a really good spot. And, when news came out last week that everyone has to do this, it was like, we don't have to worry about it, we're
Right.
doing it,
We're doing it.
we've taken the steps,
Yeah.
we've,
It
and
did feel good.
again, I think we're getting better, and I understand that we can't, well, I say we can't, I mean, maybe we can, maybe the future is, we're gonna spend $100,000 a year to feed kids, and we have to find that money from somewhere else, and if that's a decision that we make, that's, hopefully the program keeps going and we continue to, because we know, like you said, you might get, your freezer goes out, and you have to spend $55,000 and something else comes up, and those are, not reoccurring expenses, but we have to find the money for them. But I am thrilled that we are able to do what we call free lunch forever, free meals for everyone, and I hope that we can continue
And it's,
forever.
As you say, it's beyond lunch, and we don't want to not do the right thing now out of fear that in 4 years, we'll deal with that in 4 years.
Yes.
Or next year, whatever.
Well, if you look at the number of meals you served this summer to
Yes.
Fox and
But
Garden
you don't have our whole year.
And then if you look at the number of backpacks that are packed during the school year,
Yes.
I mean, we have a problem. And we have, and this school has always addressed that. I'm all for, I wanna feed them 3 meals a day for free.
Yeah.
And take home a big old snack. Maybe popcorn and a slushie, okay?
Now we're talking. Now you're talking my language. Well,
Smoothies are.
Yeah, some of these are.
I am glad you guys are not happy necessarily, but okay with where we landed. I will continue in my position to be as transparent as I can. I'll try to give you information monthly. It is kind of up and down sometimes because 1 month we get a commodity credit, 1 month we don't. And so that is sometimes why 1 month we're 20,000 ahead and the next month we're 25 below, and so I will try to do my best to keep you informed, and then we can have this conversation also again next year or before then, if we need to, so.
I think we're all aware of all of the effort and all of the compiling of the data and everything else that we'll had to do. The extra work that it took in hours, probably hundreds of hours to get this community eligibility program. It's always been available, but we've never had it. And that was a tremendous amount of effort.
Definitely a joint effort between Shauna and Heidi and Victoria, it's not a one-man.
Yeah, but it has been a tremendous amount of work, and I think we all appreciate that.
Good.
So,
Well, we'll just keep
I
plugging along.
would like to see Lacey just more to celebrate you guys than anything else, because you tell us
Yeah.
monthly meals every time, but now that the year's
Yes.
over, to see
Okay,
what it was
I'll bring, I have those.
that we served for the whole year, because some months it was 30,000, so we're in the hundreds of thousands of meals that were
It's a lot.
provided, and it's great.
It's impressive. Yeah, it
Very
We have
impressive.
good people. I think Jean will do a great job too. And I've already noticed her working very hard this summer and I love it. And so,
I think it's gonna be even more important next year, because we know that there are federal programs that are being cut where
yes.
people who need food are going to have less dollars to spend on food, and we're gonna have kids that are hungrier, and people that got services before that don't get them now, that, as we know, some of these kids, the only place they eat is at school.
That's cool. So we want it to be good.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
it is. I'm gonna keep going to lunch bunch and I'll report back.
Okay, yeah, keep reporting back.
Bravo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, item F, thank you again, Lacey. Superintendent's report, try to follow that.
I got some good information, but I also get it from other people, and she gave a lot of it to me, so that's good. First, I wanna have a shout out to Bryson. I know you're at home watching this board meeting tonight, so we're all saying hi to you. We can't wait till you get back to school. So we have right now 484 employees. We have 3,616 complete enrollments for next year. We have 20 that Victoria is just busy putting all the information in, so that'll make that 36 very quickly. And we have many that are in the queue that have started enrollment but have not finished that. We have various spots for transfers in all elementary schools still. TMS is completely full, and THS is full in 10th through 12th grade, so a few spots in 9th grade. Just a few project updates. I think we've got lots of things going on. Obviously, roof repairs, Greenwood, Cherokee, and Sequoia, child nutrition and maintenance are all complete this summer. THS is near completion. The middle school and Heritage have repairs that will begin, but all should be done before school starts. We're doing a lot of HVAC work as well. TMAC is almost complete. I don't know if you remember, but we had to replace basically $500,000 HVAC unit at the TMAC. And they were on the roof, and now there are 2 units, and they are bigger than a house, really. And so that's been very interesting to watch them put those in. But it is very close to complete. You can already tell a major difference when you're in the TMAC. So it was something that had to be done, and it's almost complete. The barn, finishing touches, it should be done by this time next week, end of next week. It has been a labor of love and community donations, and Mr. Wallace has been I saw him put a video out on the FFA page today, walking people through it. So as soon as we can, we'll get like a ribbon cutting and something special where our kids can get out there and see it. But it's gonna be an amazing addition for their programs. We've got paint projects all over the district. They have just finished painting the exterior of Cherokee that matches everything that was added on in the last year or so. So it looks really, really nice. And a lot of places just, within just dugouts, all kinds of things all over the district, so they've been working on that. Awnings should begin there next week, as you know, or I think you know, we pushed the car line down towards the new admin to get kids out of the water that runs through the street and get some of the backed up car line to help you a little bit with that.
Is this the middle school?
At Cherokee.
Cherokee.
And so we moved them away from the awnings, and now we need to replace that with new awnings, but we have a gentleman that's supposed to start that next week.
I was just thinking the middle school lines, no small task.
That is a large line as well. We have some ideas of that, one of these days that we wanna do, but that is a ways out. Just wanna say, thanks to Brad and all of the crew, the grounds and the operations maintenance, because they take such pride in their work. We often are around other places, and I am happy to say, I'm biased probably, that I feel like ours always looks as good or better than any district that I ever see, especially year round. A few other things, obviously, we're Armory. The demo should start in the next few weeks at the Armory. We're working on timelines and making sure the plans are exactly, and going back through that. They're like, if you wanna change a wall, I need to know now. If you don't wanna do it after the wall is up. So we are fine tooth combing that, working on little details. I'm still being promised, and I'm calling you out, Mr. Stephen Ryan, that we can put a Christmas tree in there, so we'll see, but that is the plan. Also bond, as Mr. Reed mentioned, all things bond right now. At 6 in the morning, at 2 in the morning, pretty much 24 hours a day right now is planning for and taking care of things for the bond. preparing flyers, videos, renderings, talking to every group that we can get in front of. And we really want to inform our public. We want everybody to know what it is that we are trying to do and why we're trying to do it and what that's going to do for our community and our kids. And that's what it's all about. It is all about kids. We've had a lot of summer PD. Lacey has gathered some of this data for me. I'm gonna run through it pretty quickly, but we had mental health first aid, and 23 people were trained on that this summer. Katie Kinder came back, and everybody loves some Katie Kinder at Tahlequah Public Schools. And we had 49 people that attended the classroom management in the morning, 44 in the afternoon. And what I love about this is Lacey worked with me to invite other area schools. So when we do this summer PD series, we don't just train Tahlequah teachers, but we train teachers from Briggs, from Holbrook, from Keys. Often we share kids, and all of those kids are still part of our community that are going to all pay in. They're going to work here. They're going to be part of the Chamber of Commerce and do all the things. So I love how we work together on that. So it was a room full of different educators. Cindy Duro did a couple sessions, 34 in the morning, 31 in the afternoon, again, a mixed group. Crossroads Learning has done a training for 12 of our teachers on enhanced reading instruction to ELs and to about dyslexia. We did some curriculum pacing work, and 18 of our teachers came in and worked on that this summer. We have a safety summit tomorrow, and Dr. Sorrell's, which will be trauma-informed instruction, is also next week. We had 25 teachers attend PLC training in Tulsa. We had a couple teachers go to the Too Good for Drugs training. We had 6 teachers go to Elevate training. 4 SROs and 2 administrators, another staff member attend the National SRO conference just recently. And 4 pre-K teachers that attended an intense trauma training with Dr. Sorrells. And then we had 2 SROs just recently go to the National School Safety Conference. So we have spent a lot of time and money in training this summer, and all of that is grant driven. That is definitely our bread and butter when it comes to that, and so just another reason it's so important that those funds continue to our school. We just finished summer school as well. Our site coordinator, Heather Taylor, does an amazing job taking care of our summer program. Began on June 2nd, concluded on the 27th. At elementary level, we had 167 students enrolled with an average daily attendance of 124. As we've heard, they got breakfast, they got lunch, they got field trips, they got some great academic instruction and ELA in math and enrichment in their classes every day. We also had a summer school at TMS, and the site coordinator there is Kevin Vincent, again, another rock star for our district. They had 45 students in grade 5 through 8. It's hard to get middle school kids to want to go to school in the summer, and that we have that many that wanted to go and attend, I think is a tribute to his great programming. They did, again, fun educational things for that entire month. They did some fishing, some hiking, library trips, a lot of things that just engaged kids. High school is a little different bent on summer school. It's just really credit recovery. And Miss Mandy Jordan, library extraordinaire at Tahlequah High School, headed that up for us this summer. They had 52 students that were offered summer school that logged in at least once. We'll count that a win. But 37 credits were given this summer. We covered 37 credits, so that is a definite win. Just a couple dates to remember. We're hosting the monthly mingle for the Chamber of Commerce on August 1st at 8 a.m. at Cherokee. I would invite you all to attend that if at all possible. And on August 11th, as he also mentioned, we have our welcome back. Always love when you guys can come to that if you happen to be free. It's a Monday, August 11th, begins at 8. And it sounds like you're gonna get to watch some people win some big prizes. That's awesome. Awesome, shout out to our community. And attending the Education Expo that evening at the Chota Center, come and go from 4 to 6. And then the 14th, kids come back. This summer went by so quickly, but we are ready. We're ready for them to get back on our school campuses. We miss them, you know. I mean, we're ready for them to leave probably in May, But we're by now ready for them to come back because all of us choose to do this because of kids. So, ready to get them back here.
And I think most of the kids are, by this point in summer, ready to start looking back towards school and playing back, seeing friends.
I haven't seen any better.
I have a middle school niece that brings a slew of girls to my pool often, and I asked them this weekend, and they were like, yeah. I had some questions about the new policies, so I was able to have that conversation with some 8th grade girls this weekend and talk about cell phones and safety things, but it was a good conversation, and they're ready to come back to school.
I have a quick question about, maybe more for Brittany, but, so we have to do our yearly board, like, we pick our dates and then we send them in, because they have to be filed somewhere.
Yes.
And then typically, if something changes, we do a special, can we change those? Because we will come hopefully January, be meeting at the new place,
We can. You have so many days before a regular board meeting to change them if we need to.
So they will still be regular, we don't have
Yes.
to, okay,
Yes.
that was my question.
We will have the year calendar, but there have been times that we have had to go and we've been able to do it ahead enough time that we can change the date. And we have tentative dates for all those to get in front of you pretty quickly to see how those work for you guys.
Are we ready to move forward then? Anything else? That's an incredible list of all of the accomplishments, what's been done and what we're doing. It's impressive. We never really shut down. And that's
Especially on her.
oftentimes, people think schools are shut down and nothing is going on in
You
the
take a
summer.
couple days, call.
And that is not true.
Yes, people often, they wonder what you do in the summer, but people don't realize or they forget that school is also a $50 million business. And that's a fiscal year ending, a fiscal year beginning. It's, for us, probably here in this building, really the busiest time in getting everything ready. And the day the students start, I, much to Carr's dismay, start talking about the next year.
Oh, she pulled out a 2008 calendar the other day. I was like, yeah, 2028.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going back in time.
Yeah.
I've got a plan, begin with the end in mind.
All right. So, once again, I'm just so excited about it, by our carryover. I think that's the largest carryover that I can remember. Yes. All right, item G, discussion and vote to approve the following TPS employees other than the superintendent to be authorized legal representatives to legally sign on behalf of the LEA, which is the TPS district, all current fiscal year expenditures, reports, distributions, and cash receipts with the Oklahoma State Department of Education. OKSDE. And this is Sabrina Garner, Finance Director, and Lacey Wilson, Director of Federal Programs. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is required for our federal programs for the state department every year.
Ms. Nema? Aye. Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford? And aye. Discussion and vote to approve the designation of purchasing agents and receiving clerks for the below site. Purchasing agent, transportation, Paul Martin, and is it Chrisleen Hendricks Fowler? Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Nema?
We don't have them listed out separately, we read the first one and not the second one, but my motion was to approve
Both of them.
purchasing and receiving agent.
Site. Purchasing, did I not say both? The second name, oh, I see, below.
It's the same thing.
And then the receiving, I missed that, I'm sorry. Receiving agent, transportation, Paul Martin, and Christine Hendricks Fowler.
That was my motion.
I second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Thank you for pointing that out. Mrs. Nemo.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford, and I. Discussion and vote to approve the following surplus. Looks like Heritage is cleaning up the house. Okay, a motion on that?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd really like to get that handwriting without tears book. That just cracks me up. Handwriting without tears,
It's
okay.
a curriculum that was used for years.
Really? Wow.
The tears for the teachers. And I've had motions.
Yes, and
Correct?
seconds,
All
so
right.
we're ready to
Mrs.
go.
Nemo. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And I. Item J, business items, consent docket vote to approve the following 1 through 3, and it's contracts and agreements, trips, out-of-state overnight trips, and 3, 2025-26 fiscal year membership subscriptions. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Nemo.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And I. Okay, discussion and vote to approve the revised 2025-26 school calendar. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
We added the graduation date, and that was added for Sunday, May 17th at 2 p.m. again. We also negotiated with TEA for some of the beginning days and BB Day in January for some work time in their classrooms. And this year, at this moment, for this year only, the last 2 school days will be snow makeup days. We would be able to determine by the March board meeting whether or not we had enough hours to meet the legal requirements, which are actually more this year, 1,086, but we do go more hours than that. If we have met our legal obligation on hours, then students' last day can be the 15th, Friday the 15th, instead of coming back on Monday and Tuesday.
That's good.
Which I feel like will be a very popular decision with 3,600 students. And the last couple of days get a little bit
Do we have
crazy.
additional built-in snow days or no?
We do not.
So if we take a snow day, then we have to come back that Monday. If we take say 2, we have to come back.
No, because we go,
Have extra
typically,
hours.
we go about 8 days worth of hours more than we have to.
So we have hours built in, not
Yes.
days built in. Okay.
Yes. So you have to have 1,086 this year. Shauna will take the calendar in the next couple of weeks and figure out exactly how many hours. But I believe if we were looking at last year's calendar as an example, we had about 8 days that we could have missed without making up. Another calendar change that the legislature did this year is that a school district can only have 2 distance learning days. We don't utilize distance learning days, so this is most likely not going to affect us unless we have some significant weather event or some type of emergency in the building. Our calendar generally allows for us to miss a certain amount of days without making them up. We would have to miss, I would venture to say, a couple weeks of school to have to make it up, and with the distance learning days available to us. So a little snow is good, but I am not speaking that on us. I don't want 2 weeks of bad weather. And those were the changes.
All right, so any
Ready to
further discussion? Mrs. Nemo. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And I. Item L, discussion and vote to approve the adoption, revision, and or removal of the following policies. 1 through 16, would you like for me to enumerate them, or do we need them? I don't, okay. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Discussion, any of these that you would
Yeah, I
like
had
to?
a question.
Okay.
Did you find talk to somebody about the question I had on the, inclusion in every program?
We have not talked to our attorney about it, but we have it on there. I let Tanya know that we had that question.
And let me explain, there are multiple policies here, and this happens every June, July after the legislature has finished. And so some rules, some board policies have to be edited because of state law, some board policies have to be edited because of the State Department rules that were adopted. As you know, we're working with OSSBA to redo our entire policy book. It was antiquated at best in many ways. And so when we had them do a review, they basically said it's probably best to start over. And so we got our first draft in the last month, and we have been spending hours and hours going through a giant box that they sent with the policy revisions. These that we have today are revising our existing policies with new law. And I called OSSBA and said, we're in the middle of a whole policy update, can we wait? And they said no, because a lot of these went into effect right away. So we took our old policies and used their new language and edited the policy like we normally would. But what we'll turn around and do in the upcoming months is most likely have to have a special board meeting to review the entire policy, because there are thousands of pages, I would say, of policy. So they're all like, yes, thousands of pages, we've been looking at them, our eyes are crossed.
Like 680 or something.
Yes, so these policies, none of them, a lot of it was cleaning up. A lot of it is just changing a few words on them. Trying to see if there's anything. Student transfer policy, we have to do this time every year. Inter-district transfer was just a change in words, as the active duty military transfers as well. Some of the policies we had, we took their policy that they gave us in the policy review book. We just went ahead and put it in play because ours was so off. One change was about like EpiPens. And the law now requires that if we have to use an EpiPen on a student that we call 911 and their parent, which we most likely would have anyhow, but now that is in law. Even if the parent is in the building, you call 911, then you get the parent. That's the new EpiPen law. There were some changes on standards of performance and conduct that added a reason for termination for employees. And it, let's see, where is that? Here. No, that's not. It's 5, look at 5.
It's not the fourth page in your packet.
Yeah.
Policy 4129.
We put the name, so it added, language about anti-Semitism that was required by law now. It added a reason for due process or for dismissal for knowing and willful failure to report suspected child abuse or neglect. That had not been listed before. So all of those, were just minor, changes to that. And every one of these will be ones that we have to go back through. So now we've got the book that they gave us. We edited, we were able to make comments, to ask questions. We'll put that in the mail back to OSSBA on Thursday. And then all of these policies, because they had our initial policies, now we'll have to say, here are the 16 that we adopted now because you asked us to, and then they would be put back in for a review when they get it back to us again. We really wanted to, at least the first time, maybe even the second, try to clean it up for you guys as much as possible before we hand it to you to start going over, because it is not light reading. But it needed to be done, it needed to be cleaned up, so we're going to be in a much better place. And as we update it in the future, it's systematic, where although their lettering, the way they number their policies is foreign to me, but we'll get used to it.
We'll just have to get used to
Will
the
it
numbers,
still
our
be,
numbers.
when we get the, kind of the full update where things that are struck through and new is highlighted?
Yes,
Which it may be a lot of it because we may be completely replacing a
it
lot
will
of
be.
it.
That's why today, some of these, that's what you did find. Once we started looking at what our policy was and what they just sent, we're like, mark the whole thing out, add the whole new paragraph. Because it got really, really hard to go through and find where they added a word or a comma, or they just changed the context for some reason.
Stephanie, which one were you asking?
Okay, well, there was, I think it's in the student conduct, and that's one of those.
That would be 6240.
No, which one?
I have the picture, I got my phone called out after watching it online. I was looking for the picture that I had taken of it, but I didn't take a picture of
It was the principal one of commitment to students. It was 4129. You had a question on principal one, the commitment to the students. Down here on number 6, shall not on the basis of race, color, creed, all of that unfairly, and A, exclude a student from participation in any program, deny benefits of the student. You were concerned that if they deny.
Does this apply to athletics?
Yeah.
Because now it's in legal conflict with having to. If we are saying in our policy that you have to include them in any program that they ask to be in, it's in conflict with law that says you cannot put a boy into a sports now. So I was just asking for a legal clarification of our policy to be sure that we're within the law. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, and I think that we would just need to get more clarification to that. I mean, my knee-jerk answer would be that if we have a girls' basketball team, that any girl would be able to, you couldn't deny a benefit of,
Any girl, which is that's understood, but is it written clearly enough that if a student came and said, I want to be on the girls, can we say, no, you cannot? Once we put it into policy.
Or
that says-
yes, you can.
Yeah, we put it into policy that we can't deny anybody that applies for any program. Now does it cross over? Do we have a problem there?
right? And one thing I would say is that, even if we tabled this policy, that's already in policy, and that's how it's written right now, so it's not changing anything.
Yeah, and that came from attorneys.
But it's
It came from
definitely
attorneys,
something
so.
in the new policy review
Right.
that we need to make note of and say this was a concern. And this is the standards of performance and conduct is a very typical document. I don't think those are very edited policies. It pretty much comes just down from the State Department. But we can definitely get
Well,
clarification.
we've had so many changes lately, I mean, that it has become such an issue. It used to be an issue, now it is an issue now. We gotta be sure that we're all meshed in the law
Yes.
and don't get entangled in it instead.
And Chrissy had a few questions on some policies today, some things that I'm gonna look at as well.
Scouts?
That is exactly how it is written from OSSBA. There's a policy and it talks about groups, but then it specifically just names Boy Scouts and our question was why.
Doesn't name any other groups,
Yes.
I missed whatever
That
that
is verbatim
issue
what
was.
was sent to us from them.
It doesn't, cause it doesn't list any, it says, and it says including the Boy Scouts, and then it has, I assume it's an executive order, because it lists the laws and, federal and state laws, the reasons they're making those changes and where that comes from, but that one really was odd to me, and I don't remember anything that, it didn't trigger anything that I remembered that there was some special role about Boy Scouts.
So that question will be answered along with the ones that Chrissy was able to send me today. But so go through them and then again, we'll get this first read back from them, we'll get it back in hopefully an electronic form that we can share and edit from, because this is actually a giant binder that came, that we had to just go through page to page, put stickies on, make marks, and then they go back and they change it from that, so. We hope they're not, and if you guys are listening, we hope you're not disappointed with how it come. We've done a lot of stickies, a lot of marks, a lot of questions, as we've gone through that this last month.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Mrs. Lena, aye. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And aye. Item M, discussion and vote to approve the school hours policy number 5020 for the 2025 school year and to provide statutory notice to the Oklahoma State Department of Education in accordance with the law. Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, where we do hours and not days.
Right.
So we put that into, policy or in a board vote, and then upload that to the State Department.
And the new law has to be 186 hours.
1,086 hours, yes.
Yeah, I just keep saying.
1,080 last year.
Yes, okay. And we do beyond.
We do way beyond, and I will make a note on my
8 days
superintendent's report next month to tell you exactly how many we have. Something TEA asked for anyways, so I'll report it to everybody.
Are we ready to vote on this? Any more discussion? Mrs. Neva, aye. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford, and aye. Item N, discussion and vote to approve the final reading of the following handbooks and manuals for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Do you wish that I read through these, or
I think you can say 1 through 12.
1 through 12? All right. I think I read through them last time. In a motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Discussions on anything anyone saw or noticed? Ms. Nemo. Aye. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And aye. Discussion and vote to approve the schedule of encumbrances.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan, did you have an opportunity to?
Dan.
Sorry, Mr. Crawford, I'm talking in class, I was.
Did you have an opportunity to ask about the horns,
The what?
the horns, the brass?
Yes, I thought I told you about, you mean the horns?
No, not how many,
Okay,
but is it in the contract? Remember we talked about it, is it in the contract?
yes, I didn't ask her, she's coming to my meeting tomorrow. Remember I said she's coming here with me now tomorrow, she's in wherever she is on the trip, and I was just gonna ask her.
Okay.
Ms. Crawford had a question about a fee
Thought it was
purchase order for
expensive.
cleaning instruments.
Okay.
It's not something that's typically done, and and I had asked her when she put that in, and in her opinion, the instruments need to be cleaned like that every year, but they haven't been cleaned like that in a long time, but it was a substantial amount of
We
money to
had
clean
this
the instruments.
discussion a couple of years
For
ago.
42 minutes.
Well, what my concern was, I mean, I researched it and the price that we're paying for that many is above the normal. And so I just asked, is it in the contract? If we bought it from them, is it in our purchase contract that we have to go back to them for cleaning? Or can we put out bids? Because if we can find it done cheap enough, then yes, we should do it. Yeah, but if it's going to be this expensive to do it.
How expensive?
It's about $10,000 and
$10,399 for 42.
she also told me 42, I will tell you off, she is out of state, and I said, tell me how many you think it is. So hopefully she goes back tomorrow and she says, I misquoted Tanya, it was really 212. I don't think it's gonna be that, but, we will check that and we would be able to, it has not been done, systematically for years. So I'm going to say we are not tied to any company. I just don't, it might be one of the things where you don't have a lot of options
Well,
around
that was the
here.
other thing. Is
Can I
there
say
anyone else we could have bid to?
As a brass player's mother,
The longer you put off maintenance, the more it costs,
Well,
and that may be why it's
That
so
could be
high.
why then, I could see that.
Yeah, I just want an
I
explanation.
don't believe it's been
You know,
regularly
If it's averaging almost $250 for instance, to me, that's high.
Well, but it depends on how long it's been since they've been cared for.
Well,
And, you know, they have to put belts on, I mean, they're.
well, yes, I realize they don't stick them in the sink and run the hose on them, I get it.
Actually,
But
they
what
do
I'm
try.
saying is if they, you know, can justify to me, this is what all we, you know, for instance, give them, ask for a breakdown, this kind of instrument has this done, and this is why it costs this much. This kind of instrument, like a tuba, obviously it's huge. And maybe a clarinet shouldn't cost as much as a flute, because it doesn't have as many little pieces, and I'm just, which is wood, and I would.
No, they have the same almost.
Yeah, but anyway, but what I'm saying is to justify the cost, I just feel like it's a bit exorbitant if I don't have a reasoning behind it. Does that make sense? I
When we
mean,
go into executive session, can we try to pull that contract or that purchase order when we did that? It might have some very explicit information on that without her here to be able to answer that.
I'm not calling anybody out.
No, I think it's good, it's a good question. It's, and if we could get it done more cheaply somewhere else, I mean, do we put it out for bids or what?
Yeah, my thought is, because it hasn't been done, if we can find, if we can get it done more cheaply, then we justify doing it regularly. If we cannot, if it's gonna cost $10,000 every year, that's a bit much.
So, yeah. Okay, I don't know that we voted.
We haven't, did we?
Sorry.
I just
Sign
mean,
up.
okay, we're gonna, no, I want to, that's the point of discussion, is to have that moment of, okay, are we ready to vote? Mrs. Neal, aye, Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. Aye. And aye. Item P, discussion and vote to approve Indian Capital Technology Center, Muskogee Campus instructor Jessica McKinney and Nisha Edwards as adjunct instructors for academic credit and anatomy for the 2025-26 school year. Motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Vote, Mrs. Neal. Aye. Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford. And aye. Executive session, item Q. Executive session authority 25 Oklahoma statute 307B 1, 2, and 7. The board proposes to discuss the following matters during its closed session. Number 1, superintendent evaluation. Part 2 of 5, finance, board superintendent relations. And number 2, superintendent terms and conditions of employment. When you say part 2 on this, do you mean part 2 and 5?
I think we mean that we'll have 5, we'll just do 5 different sessions of executive session. So this is our second of the 5.
Of the sessions?
Yes.
Okay, because we have more to,
Yes.
More domains.
domains than that.
Move to enter executive session.
I second.
Ms. Neal.
Aye.
Dr. Eversole.
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford.
Aye.
And aye. ready to go? I am ready. Want to acknowledge the board's return to open session at 8:35. Want to give you a statement, board president's statement of the executive session minutes. And are you ready for this, Wendy? Okay. During executive session, the board discussed two parts of the superintendent evaluation: finance and board superintendent relations. And we also discussed terms and conditions of the superintendent's employment. I need,
And no votes were taken.
and no votes were taken, no action taken. Okay, item T. Vote to approve revision of the superintendent's contract with Tanya Jones for the 2025-26, 2026-27, 2027-28 school year. So I have a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Well,
No.
Everybody
Either
second.
one.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Emo?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. Item U, motion to approve the following personnel items, 1, 2, and 3. And under item 2, I'll read the following names, and this is employment. Chrisleen Hendricks Fowler, Transportation Office Manager. Taylor Littlejohn, Paraprofessional. Carly Ballard, Special Care Para. Samantha Hobbs, Special Care Para. Rita Kahn, Teacher. Jessica Eubanks, Transportation, Bus Driver Pending Certification. Billy Nobles, Transportation, Bus Driver Pending Certification. Manaya, is that correct? Acosta, Special Care Para Pending Certification. Natalie Porter, Teacher Pending Certification. August Leach, Paraprofessional Pending Certification. Mandy Irwin, Special Care Para Pending Certification. Claire Highfill, Special Care Para Pending Certification. Michelle Howell, Part-Time Para Sub Pending Certification. Maggie Calcoat, Special Care Para Pending Certification. And Rachel, you said that's Crawley, Teacher Pending Certification. And I made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Nemo? Aye. Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford? Aye. And aye. Item B, new business, and we do have two items, new business. Should we vote on each of these motions separately, okay? Item A, motion and vote to approve the following personnel item, and it is a resignation. And I don't need to read the name on it. It's Brady Hacker, Tahlequah Middle School band instructor. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford? And aye. New business item B, motion and vote to approve the following schedule encumbrances. 1 general fund, 2 bond fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Nemo?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Dr. Eversole?
Aye.
Mrs. Crawford?
Aye.
And aye. And we are adjourned.
Good meeting, Lori.
Good job, ladies.